Hey guys, it's Miss Jimenez. All right, so we're going to start with independent and dependent events. Quick review. You already know this, okay? So it's not like anything brand new. It's something that you were taught back in middle school, and I know it's a couple of years, so that's why we're doing a quick video just to remember what it is, okay? Independent events. So two events are independent if the outcome of the first does not affect the outcome of the second. So an example would be rolling a die and flipping a coin. They don't have anything related to each other. One doesn't affect the other one. Okay. And what are some key words that you can think about that would do with that? And these are the ones that you should kind of have an idea of. Would be with replacement, put back, anything that requires them not changing the total of whatever's occurring. Okay? They're not changing the number of dice or the number of marbles. Like the marble in the bag, that kind of should give you an idea of remembering when you remember about these independent dependents. If a bag of Skittles, if you're going to put them all back, stuff like that, where you're not changing the total number of outcomes that you have. Now, dependent events are two events are dependent if the outcome of the first affects the outcome of the second. So, like without replacement, if I take a marble out and I leave it out, then I'm changing the total number of outcomes that I have, the total number of marbles that I have in the bag. So, what are some key words? It would be without replacement, you passed out, you held on to it. Okay, anything that gives you an idea that, hey, they're changing the total amount of outcomes. Okay, now we have identify if the events are independent or dependent and give an explanation. So your explanation is going to be in your own words. Okay? I'm just going to help you identify like what are the key words and if it's independent, dependent. So number one, replacing it. So I'm putting it back. So I'm not changing the total number of outcomes, so therefore it's independent. Okay, 4 out of 20, 52. Why 52? A standard, well, anytime they're talking about a deck of cards, they're saying it's 52. I know that it comes with instructions, it comes with some extra ones. They're only counting the face cards and the numbers, so it's 52. And then it said queens. How many queens do I have? I have 4 suits, so I have 4 queens. Okay. The 4 represents the number of queens, and the 52 represents the total number of deck of cards of the cards. Now the next one I have 13 over 52 because they're telling me the suit is diamond. So the 13 has to deal with how many diamonds are in the deck. And again, 52 is the same, the total. All right. Next one is what's the probability of rolling a 6 and then rolling an even number. Okay. Rolling. Okay. And rolling a dice. There's no way that I can change the numbers that are on the dice. So because I'm rolling the same die, then there is independent, okay? Because you're rolling a dice, you're not changing the total number of outcomes that are on the dice. That means you're not changing the numbers that are on the dice. It's still 1 through 6. So 1, 6, because the probability of rolling a 6. How many 6s are there in a die? Just 1. Okay. So 6 is the number of numbers that are on the die, and the 1 represents the number that they're looking for. Now, in the next one, it says how many even numbers. I have 2, 4, and 6. Those are my even numbers. So I have 3 out of 6 even numbers. Okay. And that just remembers times they occur. I can only have 1 out of 6 for a 6 and then 3 out of that. All right, next one. Without replacing, what is the probability of drawing a 3 diamonds from a deck of cards without replacing them back into the deck each time? Okay. So that means that I'm changing the number of cards I have total. So the first, and that's why it's dependent, the first thing would be there's 13 total diamonds, okay, out of 52. The next time, if I take a diamond and I'm keeping it, then that means there's 12. Sorry, guys. Turn that off. All right, and then instead of 52 cards, I'd have 51. Next one is there will be 11 diamonds and 50 cards because I'm taking away. I'm changing the total. So anytime I'm changing the total at the bottom, that's when it's going to be dependent, okay? Because it depends on what I did first time. And notice I didn't say that you're changing the number at the top because on this time they asked us for 3 diamonds. But what if they would have asked us for 1 diamond, then a club, and then a spades? Okay, The number at the top would be different because you took the diamond, but you're not asking for another one. You're asking for a different suit. But the numbers at the bottom would be the same thing that we're doing right now. They would change because you're changing the number of cards that you have total. Okay. So don't say, oh, dependent means when I change the number at the top. No, dependent means that you're changing the total number of outcomes at the bottom. When that number at the bottom is changing, then we know that it's going to be dependent. Okay. Because it's being affected from the draw before it. Okay. All right. So here we go on to another example. Use the following diagram for questions. All right. So we're just identifying if it's going to be independent or dependent. We are not trying to actually find the probabilities. Right now, it's just, can you identify when the events are going to be independent or dependent from each other? So right here has without replacement. So it's affecting the total number of outcomes. Yes, no, yes, because you're not putting it back without replacement. So it's going to be dependent because you're changing it. Okay. Next one. The key word would be replace each time. So they're putting it back. Because they're putting it back, they're not changing the total number of outcomes, so that would be independent. Okay? Remember, if they're changing the total number of outcomes, then that's when it's going to be dependent. All right, this one right here, keyword, without replacing. So it's dependent because they're changing, again, the value of the total that you have. All right, here's another one. Okay, we're reading the problems. Okay, replacing. So I'm putting it back. Remember, when you read these problems, you want to look and figure out any keywords, any words that shoot out to you that are telling you, hey, they're either putting it back into the problem, they're using two different things. Okay. All right. So replacing it, that means that they are not changing the total number. So it'd be independent. This one says without, and this one says replacing. So replacing would be independent. This one would be dependent. And the last one would be independent. Okay. Replacing means I'm putting it back, so I'm not changing the total number of outcomes. Dependent, I am. I'm not putting it back. All right, problem number 10. Without replacement. So it's dependent because I'm changing. Oh, sorry, I went too fast. Okay, so right here at the bottom is that you are going to work in Desmos and then post in the discussion. So let me exit this out real quick so that we can see how that looks like. Okay, you have this right here, independent dependence events. I click on there. And you can sign in if you want, or you can just continue without signing in. You'll write your name. I'm going to put ADRI. And then right here, all you're doing on this part is just practicing. Can you identify this independent and dependent? And then you can email either one of your teachers and ask, hey, can you give me a feedback? Can you let me know if I got them right or wrong? I just really want to know if I got it right. But you're reading the problem. So this one says you're rolling a die 4 times. So I'm rolling one die. I can't change the numbers that are on the die, so that would be independent. Here it says that you hand it to your friend. So you're handing it to your friend. That means you are taking it away from the total. So that means they would be dependent. So I wouldn't click it. The next one says that there's 3 milks left. Sarah randomly picks one and then Freddie randomly picks one. That means if Sarah is going to pick, she's taking away the milk. She's going to change the outcome, the total number of outcomes. So then that would be dependent. You have Sydney. Sydney is she's going to randomly pick a yellow sock and put it on. She's putting it on. That means she's holding on to it. So she's going to be changing the total. You have a roll of a die. Again, you can't change the total outcomes of a die. It's still going to be 6. So we would click that one. Okay. And you would go on to the next one. On this one, same thing. You were going to read them. Here, you're just going to read the problem and figure out, is it going to be dependent or independent? And you're going to put them together. Okay. All right. And then let's click back here because I don't want to hit next. All right, here is your discussion, your independent, dependent. So you have 7 problems to read from. All you're doing is telling me which problems are independent, dependent. So you can type it in here. You could record yourself, either audio or in person, whatever's easier for you to do. Okay. All right. Bye.